election integrity?
I think it's just a normal form of debate where people aren't going to directly answer the question, because a lot of times those questions are formulated as traps. And I think his deflection was actually quite appropriate. He says, why are we talking about 2020 or what happened in 2021 when we could be talking about what happened in the last 2 years with this economy and what's happened with the last 2 years of this administration, their accomplishments, and then talk about also the vision for 2024 and 2025 and onward. So JD Vance is clearly a legacy pick. He's young. He's not some kind of old guy who only has maybe 20 years left in politics. I mean, he's going to be around for quite a while. And the thing about vice presidential picks that we know to be true historically is that they don't typically gain you a whole lot of votes, but they can lose you a lot of votes. So one thing that JD Vance did so very skillfully was that he didn't lose any votes last night. There is no way that he could have lost any votes for the Trump ticket last night. In fact, he shored up and quieted some of the rumors about the Trump ticket being volatile, being obsessed with the past, being hung up still on 2020, still hung up on January 6th, etc. And he quieted a lot of those rumors about how, again, the Trump ticket is very volatile. And I think that was a really skillful thing that JD Vance was able to do last night. And he was able to make it seem more common sense is the word that he kept using. He made it seem more moderate. He made it seem more civil. And he almost, put just a nice little topping on the top of how Trump is so big, he's so powerful, but he's also pragmatic. JD Vance is equally as pragmatic, but he's more diplomatic, and he is a lot more civilized, a lot better under pressure, and he doesn't let personal insults get to him as much as Donald Trump has in the past, as we've seen, especially with the recent presidential debate. There were a lot of personal jabs that got under Trump's skin and made him more angry as the night went on. JD Vance was cool, he was calm, he was collected, he was all the things that he needed to be, while also reaching out and extending an arm to a lot of the independent vote in the middle and saying, hey, we're not trying to completely ban abortion, we just think it should be a state's issue. We're not trying to destroy people's lives who are immigrants here, who may have children here or say they have children here. We are trying to deport the criminals who are actively making American cities less safe. He said, we're trying to restabilize on the world stage because that's what we did but that's what Trump did in the first Trump administration. Is no major war started, no major territorial disputes happened, and nobody on the enemy side of any power, Iran, Russia, China, no one advanced during the Trump administration. And he says, hey, we're just trying to bring back peace on the world stage. So in a lot of ways, he reached out to that 5 to 7% in the middle and said, hey, here's what we're trying to do. Here's what we're trying to accomplish. So in that way, he must have quieted a lot of rumors. But again, did he gain a whole bunch of votes? I'm not sure about that, but definitely has quieted a lot of rumors about the Trump ticket.
So, and Darius, when you get a chance, bring the senator onto the show as well. So my personal thoughts on this was, Lily, that Vance actually did gain votes. I think there's a few people, a handful of people. I don't think there's a large swath of people that are undecided, but I think that some of the undecided people that he did gain votes. But I think that one of the most important things that he did, and he emphasizes over and over and over again, was that he made the debate as much as possible about focusing on the family. JD Vance, being a family man himself and caring deeply about American families.
Yep.
I think was a resounding point that was embraced by the American people.
Yep.
And I think he did a phenomenal job answering the question. I will quickly go to Senator Grove here, Senator Shannon Grove, who is again a friend of 511, a personal friend of mine. I was very humbled and proud to have Senator Grove in studio with us this 2 days ago. She had to join us late because she's a busy politician doing a lot of things that's going on. But Shannon, welcome to the show. We were just sharing our thoughts earlier about what we thought of the debate overall, and then we were just going to now answer the question, what did we think about JD Vance's response regarding January 6th and how he broadened the topic to talk about election integrity in general. So would love to get your thoughts overall as well as regarding that issue, Senator.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Mike. And thanks for letting me join in between meetings this morning. So I appreciate it very much. Sorry, I'm from my car in a parking lot. But, 511 Media does a great job. I love what you guys are doing. It was my honor to be on the other day. And I thought JD Vance last night, it was like a mic drop for his whole performance and what he did. He addressed, like you said, he spoke directly to families that are sitting at the kitchen table and can't afford food and can't afford the inflation cost of eggs and can't afford fuel and the loss of jobs that have been taking place under the Biden and Harris administration. He addressed so many things that were directly related just to the individuals that were watching him. He showed sincerity and kindness, and he showed an ability to work with everyone and bring unity to our country. He wasn't hostile or negative. I thought he just put Waltz in his place on several issues, including the January 6th issue. I think that when he talked about election integrity, it spoke to the people that, we should make sure that our elections are secure and that only, individuals who are authorized to vote, citizens of the United States, that they should be able to vote. It doesn't make any sense to let, all the people that are coming across our border to vote. He really put it in perspective where I think even those that are on the left would be like, yeah, that makes sense to me. I loved the fact that when he talked about the family as a whole and a unit, and he talked about even the women's, the abortion issue when it came up, he addressed that so well and showed compassion and love for those that have struggled with that choice that they've made in their life, but then said that they need to do a better job about creating opportunities and making it more affordable for kids to be able to live in this world and help, women who choose to keep their baby. I thought his economic policy and what he discussed with Walz, I thought was just over the top. And I know that he convinced people that were watching, there's no doubt in my mind, that we are going to be so much better under a Trump-Vance administration when it comes to the economy, when it comes to securing our border, and when it comes to global security around the world. And that's important to so many people.
Yeah, amen. I agree with everything you said, Senator. I want to now go to Bianca, and I know you have an opinion on this as well. I love hearing your opinion, Bianca. Let's go.
Oh my God. You see me fidgeting over here?
I do.
I dropped. I'm looking over here. I dropped my camera. Just to let you know, I'm going live. I picked up your stream and I'm going live on my StreamYard so that we are across more platforms. So that's why I'm fidgeting. So the audience is like, who is this? What are you doing, Mike? You've got this panel. I'm like,
Bianca, you're amazing. We love you. Thank you for that.
But you look nothing like Waltz did last night fidgeting.
I was going to say, listen, but I am not friends with school shooters. I am not, I'm not a
knucklehead.
Let's put that out. And so anyhow, so that's what I was doing. So sorry for all the destruction. You know what? I think that, I was actually having a conversation with some friends yesterday in the Hispanic community about the numbers that are needed to win. And, there's so much talk about the Hispanics shifting over to conservative values and voting conservatively and the amount of support that President Trump has. But one of the things that I said is where he doesn't have support is the women. And I actually was even talking to my own pastor about this. And I said, look, pastor, he's not doing well with, and Lily Kate brought this up, with the suburban women, this Trump Vance, ticket, when they do the polling, they're not doing well with women, number one. But when you look at the numbers of Hispanic women, they're not doing well at all. It's even digging deeper, but they don't do well. And I think this was a perfect opportunity for Vance to show the administration will be and how they really care about the issues. And Vance was able to take this back to things that the Hispanic community is looking for. Stability, looking for being able to afford groceries, feed their children, send them to get a good education, buying a home. is very important instead of renting or leasing. And so, affording the gas, those are table conversations that are much being had in Hispanic households. Jobs.
Mhm.
And Vance was able to really, really come down to that level and really, really get the message out to American people, and specifically on the things that the Hispanics, I think are looking for. They're looking for stability. They're looking for a good quality of life. They're not looking for chaos. They're not looking for division. They're looking for someone who's going to give common sense solutions. And JD Vance was able to tie in and deliver a message of what we had with Trump in 4 years in comparison what we've had in the last 3.5 years. And he was able to get that message across. And I think that, when it comes to Hispanic women, and I'm saying Hispanic women, the reason I believe that Trump isn't doing well with the Hispanic women, not me. Obviously, I've been supporting him as co-founder of Latinos for Trump. Obviously, I could see past that. But I think that I was talking to my pastor last night. I said, think about it, Pastor. Hispanic women we are taught from our fathers that, we need to be independent, that, we're not supposed to depend on a man. We are supposed to, obviously, we are taught that, obviously, get away from rapist or chauvinistic male, or, you're taught not to really like the guy who's just so, noxious, right? So I think that Hispanic women, what they have painted Trump to be in the last 8 years is they have painted him to be this egotistical, chauvinistic. They think about it. The women on The View, all they do is bash him about, he's so obnoxious. Oh, and then now, all these women that Stormy Daniels and all of this, they painted him as this man that your dad has raised you to stay away from. And this is why the messaging from the Trump campaign and, now JD Vance, who's more soft-spoken, more put together, and he was more of a family man. And I'm not saying Trump isn't. That's not, Trump is the leader who's bold and who's not afraid to say what needs to be said. And we need that in this country. But when it comes to the women and the Hispanic women, they're like, that's the man my dad taught me to stay away from. Why would I want him as president? But they're not tying into policies. It's like, okay, but women, when it comes to the policies about our families, the protecting of our family, public safety, the guns. Listen, he talked about the guns in the school, making sure children were safe in school. But the fact that you're able to have a Second Amendment and protect yourself, those are all issues that I think that all women, but mainly for me, because I am focused on the Hispanic vote, is that I needed those talking points from someone who is level-headed, because we need that. We need the Hispanic
not
women.
knuckleheaded.
Well, we're not knuckleheads, but we needed that soft, family-oriented message about what's best for your family in the future, and the fact that you don't have to rent anymore and you're going to be able to buy a house, because this guy gets it. And he's going into administration where Trump knows how to create jobs. Trump knows how to get stuff done. He knows, and they brought this peace through strength. We didn't have wars during Trump. That's a message that we, 34% of Hispanics are in the military. And so we fight for this country. So the one thing as a mother is I want to know that if my son wants to join the Marines or wants to join the military, that I'm going to have a president who is about peace through strength, and is not going to send my child out to go and potentially be blown to pieces because you don't know how to bring in peace through strength around the world. And so for me as a Hispanic mother, it was very important for me to hear the message again about what this administration is going to do with Trump and Vance at the helm. And I think that was where I think that it's going to help me deliver this message into the Hispanic community, but more so to Hispanic females, and saying, stop, you stop looking at Trump as your savior. Number one, he's not your savior. Jesus Christ is. He is a man who God is using to build a wall, protect us, bring in good policy. And then we have a level head, very polished JD Vance, who has come up with things that we can relate to in the Hispanic community. We can relate to the drug addict mom. We can relate to the grandmother being raised by, I was raised by a grandmother, being raised by a grandmother. We can relate to those hardships in the barrio. We can relate to it. We're like, that guy gets it. That guy grew up like we did. Why now he's going to be vice president? That's what we get.
Thank you, Bianca. And I know we're getting close to the end. So I'm sure, Emma, Sarah, if you want to comment on that, great. I would like to jump to economy, because we know that the economy is one of the biggest issues facing Americans right now. And they wanted to make the debate about abortion and January 6th, when really what Americans care about, what we all care about, is the economy and security and borders. And we know that those issues have been just completely obliterated under the current administration, which the Democratic candidate is part of and trying to distance himself from, but nearly impossible. And I think that's part of why you saw Walz last night. He was like basically on his heels in defense the whole time. And especially when it came to economy, I think there was a moment it looked like to me, I was like, man, he looks like he wants to cry. But Emma, Sarah, go ahead and give us your thoughts on this. Oh, you're muted again. Oh, still muted. Nope. Okay, we'll give you a second, Emma Sarah. Let's go to Senator Grove, and then we'll come back to you, Emma Sarah.
Thanks, Mike. Again, I thought he did an outstanding job on the economy, actually speaking to those at the kitchen table and families and single moms that were that are struggling under the Biden-Harris administration, like I said earlier, to even fill up your gas tank or choose between diapers and food. And I think that he really delivered a very calm, soothing message that, hey, we've got you and we understand. And I came from the life that you did. I was listening to Blanca, and I'm like, I grew up in Arvin next to the Sierras. There were 11 of them, and I was the güera, the gringa, and they used to take me down to Mexico and in the summertime, and I understand they want somebody that's going to let them have an opportunity to work and provide for their families, and they want access to a higher education for their children. I mean, they come here for a better opportunity, not so much for themselves, but for their kids to establish economic security in the next generation. So I agree with what Bianca said, and I thank you for saying that. I also know that with the economy, the way that JD Vance delivered that message on the economy, and just I was sitting there and I thought, wow, I feel good. Like if I was somebody that was struggling with what's going on in the world under the Biden-Harris administration, I think that I would say, yeah, I want that 4 years back where President Trump was here and my gas was $3 a gallon. I want that back when I wasn't paying, $7 a dozen for eggs. I want my kids to feel safe and secure when they're walking down the street, not being accosted by a homeless person, especially here in California with the homeless situation out of control. I want my kids to be able to feel safe when they go to school. And I think that he brought that sense of peace and security. Maybe because he's a wonderful man of God and he loves the Lord, and he just delivered what I think was peace in what the next 4 years can look like if we put a Trump-Vance team back in the White House or in the White House.
Thank you for your answer, Senator. And I actually think that it worked out well, because I know that Senator, you are actually you honored us and jumped in with the few minutes you have. I know you're going to need to go quickly, so I think that worked out with Emma Sarah's microphone having a little bit of technical difficulties. But Emma Sarah, if you're back, let's go ahead and jump back to you. Oh, still can't hear you. I know it's going to be frustrating. Scott, if you want to jump in on this while Emma Sarah's figuring out what's going on, let's go to you.
Well, I love that Vance did what he needed to do, which was keep pointing back to the idea of, we know what America looks like under Trump, and we know what America looks like under Kamala. We've seen it. There's no hidden thing. It's not a mystery. Nobody's having to you can imagine what I'm going to do. You can imagine on day one we're going to do this. You don't have to imagine. You can see what America was like under Trump. You could see what America was like under Kamala and Biden, and the evidence is right there. But I want to go back to something that Bianca did say about the peace through strength, and that is something that I think is missed so often, in that every time every time this country has come close to, all the way back to the Bay of Pigs, all the way back to, go to the 60s and the Cuban Missile. Every time this country has come close to disaster, it's been under Democratic control, because Democrats don't exude strength. They don't exude. They try to be, let's just be nice with everybody around the world. There is something to be said about the big person walking into the room and flexing their muscles. I can't do it right here. I'm trying to, but there's something to be said about the big person coming in the room and flexing their muscles that makes everybody else be like, yeah, let's not start something right now. And I think that's what happened when for better or for worse, I think the world leaders were like, yeah, let's not start anything with Trump because we're not quite sure what he might do. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of, as the person who is walking in with the person who's flexing, I kind of like the idea that nobody else in the room wants to try to start anything right now. That's peace through strength. And I was really appreciate that you mentioned that, Bianca. And I think that it shows we have the evidence right now of what America looks like under what America would look like under Trump, and what America would look like under Kamala. And I don't understand anybody can say I want to choose the side of Kamala and continue what we've been doing for the past 4 years.
So awesome, Emma Sarah, are you good to go now? Nope. Still not hearing you. Unfortunately. Okay. So I'm glad that we brought that up. And when Emma Sarah gets her stuff fixed, I'm not sure what's going on there, but guys, forgive us.
We're so sorry.
That's the issue of having a live show. Thank you guys for watching. But we want to talk about now, jump to gun control. And I know that this has been an issue in our state. I know that this has been an issue in your state, Bianca. So when it comes to gun control and the mental health issue, and I do very much personally agree with the points that Vance made regarding the mental health crisis that we've had, especially when it comes to fentanyl crossing the border and so many other things in regards to that. I think that that's largely a factor, a very large contributing factor in the gun problems, because I think that guns are less readily available. They're less in circulation than they were when all of us were younger. But yet we have significantly, vastly more problems with that than we did previously. So I think that there is a mental health crisis. I think that that's related to drugs, but I also think that it's related to social media. So Bianca, what do you think about that particular issue? Oh, you're muted also.
So we've been struggling, obviously, with the Second Amendment. I am for actually the Second Amendment. I don't believe in the red flag laws. I don't believe in any of that. I know because basically even the Venezuelans and the Cubans were like, this is how it started for us. This is how socialism, Marxism starts. They go after your gun so that when the time comes, you can protect yourself from your government. And this is why it ushers in the communist regimes. And so what I think about the gun issue is, and you got to give credit where credit is due, but the person who really started to really talk about the mental issue was Robert Kennedy Jr. And
Yes.
so he is the one that brought not just about being healthy again, but he's really the one that's been saying, hey, I heard him when he first announced to run for office. He had a space with Elon Musk, and because remember, he was a hardcore Democrat. Like, he was a hardcore Democrat, and he was like, I'm not running as anything else. I'm running as a Democrat. And people try to warn him. They're like, they're not going to accept you. He's like, no, this is democracy, blah, blah, blah. But he was on a space and people were asking him about the gun control and, about the shootings in the school. And he is the one that actually, I remember listening to him because I was very curious. I'm a Kennedy. I was a Kennedy person. That's how I grew up, right? We were born and raised into the Kennedy era. And Kennedy was for the people. He is what Trump is now, is what Kennedy was. And so I remember hearing him say, he said, my uncle was killed, and so was my dad for serving. He said they were murdered, but he said the gun didn't kill them. The person with the gun did.
Mm-hmm.
He said he goes the CIA killed them. Like, he literally blamed the government for killing his uncle and his dad. So even he protected the Second Amendment. He says, I go hunting. I am for guns. And then he said, what we need to do is we need to start doing research and studies and peeling down what is actually causing these kids to grow.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
So he said, we need to find out he says, what was different? What's different? What has started? Why these numbers have increased? It's not because of the gun. There's something else. And he brought up mental health.
Yep.
He said, mental health, we need to start talking about mental health. He goes, these kids are not getting they don't have the resources, so they're not getting the medical treatment that they maybe need. But then he even went back further and he said, and these video games that are becoming these video games that are very, very violent, and that's just what they're growing up on, these video games. And then you're in the schools, they're medicating the children they're all ADHD children. Everybody's ADHD. Every kid is coming into the nurse's office to get some dose of something. And now you've medicated the kids. They're like little zombies in the school. You've got indoctrination going on. They come home to a possibly broken family, maybe not a broken family, but possibly issues going on at home. Nobody's addressing the issues. They play video games all day, all night, and all they do is they're taught in these nasty, ugly, horrible, violent video games to kill police, kill people. You just walk up and shoot anybody.
Yeah.
This is what they've learned. And then when somebody bullies them at school, and then bullying isn't addressed at school, guess what the child does? Has a mental breakdown, grabs a gun, and goes and shoots at school.
Well,
And
it is even more than that, Bianca.
issues.
It's even deeper than that, Bianca. I think it really stems all the way back to legalizing abortion, because we said as a nation that life does not matter. I think we can trace the violence that has happened, that has grown in this country, all the way back to the original verdict of Roe versus Wade, that human life does not matter. That's why I find what has happened, that we have reversed that. That as a country, we have said, you know what? And again, reversing that simply just puts it back to the states, but it's the first step in saying life does matter. And then I just want to address one more thing that you were talking about with Kennedy, talking about being pro-gun and everything like that. Every politician is pro-gun when it protects them. Every politician is pro-gun. They just don't want you to be protected by guns. They have no problem being protected by guns. They have no problem being pro-gun for themselves. And that's the hypocrisy of anyone on the left who is anti-gun. Any politician who is anti-gun is presently at the moment being protected by guns, and they don't want you to have the same rights.
Yeah, I agree. And so, guys, this is the election of our lifetime. It's so important that we get out and vote.
Mhm.
And Emissary, if your mic starts working, we'll yield to you. But guys,
We're so sorry, Emissary, that it's not working. We really want to jump to you.
This is the joys of having a live show, guys. Forgive us, but I want to thank all you guys for watching. But I do think that it's important. And Bianca, I saw the civility between the two candidates last night. But one of the other things that I was thinking about, I was like, well, I think at the end of the debate, Jim Walz was ready to vote for JD Vance.
How many times did he say? I think we're in agreement. I think we're closer on this. It's like that's not how a debate works.
You're supposed to disagree.
You don't debate by saying I agree with your position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I like what you have to say. Let me. You know what? Yeah.
I think JD Vance could have just handed him over a MAGA hat and been like, "Welcome to the team." You know,
well, we know that Biden's been wearing MAGA hats.
Because he hates Kamala and the Democrat Party, because they just literally booted him out, just like they did Bernie Sanders. You know, I'm like, now it's been done to him, and they so disrespected him as the resident. So, he's not having it. So, I think even he's like, screw this party. And this is what it's become. It's become a arm of the Communist Party in the United States. And when people say, well, that doesn't really exist, you actually should do some research.
Yeah.
There's actually a website, it's Communist USA. And you'd be surprised that there is communist parties, organizations in your local communities.
There is.
In colleges, they've got communist organizations that are all under the umbrella of the Communist Party. But this is what the left has done. The Democrat Party has allowed this radical left to take over. And so I think the question here, guys, is, who wore it best, right? So who dominated the debate? Obviously, JD Vance. It's all over the news. It's all over Twitter. Everybody knew that he was, and the great thing about it too is that he's young, and most of these higher up positions, it's always the old man, right, that gets these positions, the old man, the old white man. And this guy is young, and he appeals to the Gen X's, he appeals to the millennials, he appeals to Gen Z, he appeals, and the Democrats can't put anybody up like that. What do they have, an AOC who thinks that the cows and green energy and blah, 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 blah. Nobody wants to hear about that.
I always thought, Bianca, that AOC, and I still think this, but, she's out of the news largely anymore. But I always thought that she reminded me of the idiot that you see like in the Man on the Street interviews. I know that's a little off topic, but that's essentially their candidates, their policy, their what they have to offer is essentially nothing, because nobody in the country, and I don't care if I shouldn't say nobody, because there's a small 1% or whatever, but the vast majority, way more than 50% of the country, is against communism, against socialism, and doesn't want these policies. But I think it was very evident, very clearly on display last night. But guys, we need your vote. We need you to get out there and make a stand, and not just vote, but also make sure that you are educating those around you with what's going on, that you have a voice. That's why we're here at 511, is for y'all to have a voice. So guys, I want to, if Emissary wants to add a final word, if your stuff's working, we would love to hear from you, Emissary. We want, are you there? Nope.
Emissary, we're so sorry this is happening to you.
What a bummer.
Yeah, we want to make sure that everything's going well for you as best we can. We're so sorry that didn't work out, but we're so glad that we did get to hear from you earlier. We appreciate you joining. We know that Lily had to leave early.
Yes.
She had to leave, and Senator Grove had to leave. We're so appreciative for you guys joining us and being there. I don't want to forget our sponsor.
Yes.
Don't want to forget our sponsor, Freedom 2.0, Freedom 2.0 water. We have the water here. You can get it at freedom20.com. I've been drinking from it the whole show. Really love that they're sponsoring us and really love what they're doing. You can use code 511 for 15% off when you order online. One of my favorite things is I love the little sayings they have. I love yours. Your saying that you have on yours, freedom to speak, freedom to drink. You had another one that says water for deplorables. Like there's all kinds of great little sayings that they have on each of the bottles of water. You want to get those and support them for supporting shows like this and for being part of what we're doing here.
Yep.
Excellent.
And thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Bianca. Thank you, Emma Sarah. Thank you, Lily.
So,
Thank you. Go ahead.
Sorry,
add your
before we
final
go,
word,
I
Bianca.
have three action items
Let's
for
go.
the audience. Number one, make sure you find out, go to voteusa.org and find out when the deadline is to register voters. Please register voters locally,
Yes.
not just in your street. Make sure everybody's registered to vote, even if you just can handle your little block where you live. You don't have to invent any kind of thing. Make sure you register voters until the deadline. Second, make sure that you help us recruit poll workers.
Yes.
Call the local GOP, call your local clerk's office and the elections department and say, hey, we have people that would like to work the polling locations where the need is. We have Spanish speakers. Please, we need Spanish speakers. Conservative, obviously,
Yes.
we need to have people on our side that are poll working or doing working the polls. And then third,
And poll watchers,
last,
Bianca.
the last action item is we are doing a national polls to the souls. So any church, if you have a pastor or a faith leader that is, please tell them that on October 29th, Tuesday, it is souls to the polls. Commit to taking your congregation, commit to taking your neighborhood to the poll that day, and commit to that. If you have the resource of a bus, a shuttle, any kind of way to go and get elderly or people who are sick or can't really drive to the polls, make sure you get souls to the polls those are my three action items, guys, for the audience.
Yeah. And guys, I also want to pile on and add one more thing. Here at 511, we created a resource for you specifically for this. And I don't know if you knew about this, Bianca, but we created election strategy playbook. And you guys can go get that on our website, 511media.co. And if you go to 511media.co/playbook, it's right there. But if you just go to our website, there's a pop-up. You guys can download that and go ahead and take that down, Darius. But this will outline everything Bianca said and so much more about what you can do to make a difference in this election. So guys, thank you for being here. Sorry about our technical difficulties. We will see you back here bright and early tomorrow. Have a great day. God bless.
Bye.